Today's lesson is using the triangle angle sum theorem and the exterior angle theorem. So before we get started, I'm going to go ahead and reference your notes. So let's go ahead and look at the page we did triangle angle sum theorem on. Remember, angles in a triangle always add up to equal 180 degrees. You can rip the edges of the triangle off and create a big linear pair, making it add up to equal 180. Or you can use another method using alternate interior angles that show that the triangle adds up to 180. The exterior angle theorem states that when you add the two remote interior angles together, they will add to equal the one on the outside. Those are two very important concepts that we're going to use throughout geometry. So let's go ahead and start our first problem. So the first question, it wants to know the value of question mark. My brain should go to, okay, I see a triangle. How many total degrees should they add up to? 180. So I'm going to just stick 180 in the center. What I'm going to do from here is build an equation. And I know most of you are like, well, why can't I just do 65 plus 57 and then subtract it from 180 in my calculator? You can. I'm not telling you that you can't. However, when you get to a problem with more than one variable, it's a little bit more complicated, and building an equation is going to just help you understand the groundwork as to what you're doing in your calculator. Because the equation I'm going to create is just me adding all of my angles together. So I'm going to do 65 plus 57 plus question mark, and I'm going to change question mark into a more adult variable. We're going to use x. Just because question mark's not really mathy. X is more high school level. And that's going to equal 180. All I'm going to do from here is combine those like terms together. Let's see. So I have 65 plus 57. They're on the same side. I'm going to combine. I get 122 plus x equals 180. Subtracting 122 from the other side gives me a value of 58. So my question mark is 58. Now, I can always check my math off to the side if I want to. So if I want to check it, all I'm going to do is do 65 plus 57 plus my x value of 58, and it should equal 180. So it's the same concept. You can always check your math. So let's go ahead and try the next one. This one has a few more variables, but again, I see a triangle. My brain is seeing angles. I see the degree symbol. So my mind should immediately go to, okay, all these angles, they got to add up to 180. So now I'm just going to combine them. I've got 55 plus x plus 74 plus 54 equals 180. You're going to combine all of those values together. So 55 plus 74 plus 54 is 183 equals 180. Going to move 183 to the other side, and 180 minus 183 is negative 3. So I'm sure at this point you're like, wait a minute, I get a negative answer. That can't be good. Hopefully you remember that angles can't be negative, and that is correct. Angle measures cannot be negative, but my variables can be any kind of number. Positive, negative, decimals, 0, it doesn't matter. So to make sure that I got the right answer, because the negative is alarming, all you have to do is plug it in. Negative 3 plus 74 is 71. So my angle measure for this unknown section is still a positive number. So what I want to do from here, I'm just going to check my work. Remember, even though the state test is timed, you can still take a second and type that into your calculator and see that I get 180 as my answer. Just take a second to check it. So it's okay in this case to get negative 3, because when I substitute and get 54 plus 55 plus 71, it still adds up to 180. All right, this next example is using the exterior angle theorem for triangles. So what I should see in this problem are my two remote interiors. So remember, remote interior angles are the angles that are non-adjacent to the exterior. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and add those two together. So you always want to add your remote exterior angles. And again, I'm going to change this question mark to a more adult variable of x. X plus 50. And when I add the two remote interior angles together, they should always equal the one on the outside. And the exterior angle we're focused on is 120. So I have x plus 50 equals 120. I'm going to go ahead and subtract 50. 120 minus 50 is 70. That's all you got to do. So add the remote interior angles together. They add together to equal the one on the outside. Notice the difference between this example and the one we just did. Let's see if I can get all on the same page. There you go. Notice on this first problem and this second problem, we did not have any exterior angles. So if they're all inside the triangle together, they're all going to add up to 180. Unlike this one, when I do have an exterior angle, my brain should not go to, 180. It should go to add the two remote interior angles together to equal the one on the outside. If they're all contained in the triangle, then it's 180. Once you have that exterior angle, you want to make sure to analyze your problem to solve it the right way. Again, you can do this problem without an equation, but it's not good math practice to do that. You need to understand where the equation is coming from, because a lot of us have trouble building that equation. And if you just take the time to write it down when the question is easy, when the question is more difficult, like the second one, you have the skills and knowledge to be able to set the problem up correctly, which is it's half the battle, because adding and creating the problem, that's the geometry part. Solving it is algebra. So you need to add this geometry part to your problem to kind of help you understand the theorems. So let's try the next one. Again, I've got that exterior angle of 18x plus 5. And I've got my two remote interiors, 46 and negative 1 plus 8x. So again, my mind should automatically go to add the remote interiors. So I'm going to do 46 plus a negative 1 plus 8x equals the one on the outside, 18x plus 5. Now, I did a very elementary math thing. I went ahead and wrote plus a negative. Remember, when you add numbers together, even if it's negative, it's okay to change the plus to a minus because the positive and negative make a negative. So I'm going to rewrite this as 46 minus 1 plus 8x equals 18x plus 5. It is the exact same thing. So when I'm combining like terms, 46 minus 1 is 45. I'm going to bring down all of my other stuff. Then it's up to you what you want to do. I like to get my x's together, so I'm going to move the smaller x, 8, and subtract it over to the other side. So 45 equals 10x plus 5. Now my x's are together. Now I'm going to get my numbers together by subtracting. So 45 minus 5 is 40. Those cancel. And then I'm going to divide both sides by 10. Zoom out here so you got lots of room. So 40 divided by 10 is 4. So my x value is 4. Okay, let's do a few challenging questions. Now, these are not as intimidating as they look. The trick to problems like this is to use vertical angles, linear pairs, and the triangle angle sum theorem. So when I see problems that look like this, I'm not going to stop and panic and get intimidated. I'm going to use information that I already know. So let's go ahead and start here. We are trying to get to this little question mark. That's our goal, and I guess we'll leave it as question mark, even though that's not super mathy. I'm going to start looking for angle pairs that I recognize. And hopefully we can see this 35 degrees. And I really hope and pray that our mind goes to vertical angles. So an angle here would be congruent to the angle here because they're vertical. If I cover up this triangle, that looks exactly like something we did in chapter 1, vertical angles. So if this angle is 35, this angle is 35. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to cover this up. Okay? I'm going to find the measure of this angle, and there's two ways to do it. If you recognize that you have remote interior angles, when you add those together, it should equal the one on the outside. So 35 plus 100 is 135. However, if you didn't see that, you should know that this triangle adds up to 180. So what you're going to do to find this angle is you're going to do 100 plus 35 plus something equals 180. When you solve for x, oops, I'm doing it off to the side, you should get 45 degrees. Then, to help you get this question mark, this is a linear pair. So you could do 180 minus 45, and you will get 135, which is question mark. So these problems are not as complicated as they look. They're mostly just vertical angles, linear pairs, and triangles add up to 180. Let's try another. So on this problem, again, our goal is to get to this little unknown angle. I want to start where I have the most information. So I have this triangle right here. Here it is. In order to get into another triangle, vertical angles are your friend. That's kind of how you triangle hop. So to find this one, these angles have to add up to 180. 20 plus 40 is 60. 180 minus 60 is 120. So this angle is going to be 120. In order to get into the other triangle, use vertical angles. So if this is 120, so is this one. Now I'm in my next triangle, and I know that all of those angles should add up to equal 180. So all you're going to do is combine like terms and subtract from 180 for an answer of 21. Remember, it's all vertical angles, linear pairs, or triangles add up to 180. All right, let's try our last one. Now this one looks super complicated. There's a lot of stuff going on. Our goal is to get all the way down to this question mark. To start, I need to start at my vertical angle. So again, I see a 45 degree here. So that makes this 45 degrees. Now my brain should hopefully see this a triangle right here. And my mind should go, okay, all those angles inside have to add up to 180. So to calculate this angle right here, I'm going to add those together. So I'm going to do 180 minus 60 plus 45 is 105. 180 minus 105 is 75. Now, to get to that other triangle, I cannot use linear or vertical angles because these sides are not opposite rays. That's the trick. It's got to look like an X. However, I can use my linear pair, which I know linear pairs have to add up to 180. So I'm going to do 180 minus, I'm going to add 68 and 75 to get 143. 180 minus 143 is 37. Now to get over here, if I cover up all this mess, these are two remote interior angles. 100 plus 37 is 137. So again, these problems are not that scary. They might look intimidating, but it's all basic vertical angles and linear pairs, and just knowing that triangles add up to 180. So just problem solve, use the skills you already know from the first chapter to help you in the next one.